Hello, everybody. I'm in my she shed. Anyhow, Hollywood Cemetery. I'll have to go back to that because you really cannot um, see all that in one day. It's gigantic, and I'm just amazed at all the different, just all the different statues and plaques and just it was very overwhelming for me going there because I in certain spots I would get nauseated, then my stomach would hurt, then my arm would hurt, then I would taste metal in my mouth, not in all areas, just in certain areas. And it's a lot to take in there. um my sister's phone at one point acted weird, and it ended up anyway, something drained the whole energy out of it, the whole thing. I mean, her phone was like fully charged and she's taking pictures, and then all of a sudden, zip, gone, no energy. It started, um, the battery was dead, but anyway, it started going off and on, and then bam, no battery, gone, zapped. And there was a couple of, you can see a couple shadow people, walking in the cemetery back and forth. Because every time I see something pass, I'd be like, "Oh, something's passing. Something just passed by right there." That's my little norm thing. And I did have a little girl come up behind me at the cemetery, which I thought that was very interesting. And it's very hard to describe her. Well, not really hard to describe her. I can't describe the one little thing she had on. She had like a black dress on. She had to have been like 6 or 7 years old. Black hair, curly. The dress was black, but it was long. But it was the white. I don't know what that was. There's a name for it. I can't think of it because it's back in that time period. But anyway, um, when I got to this one particular shrine, if you will, because I don't know what to call those. But anyway, when I got there, she disappeared, and then when I looked in front of me, it was a child grave. So it must have been hers because I felt like I was being led there. Um, and at one point, I just felt like there was a bunch of spirits behind me, like lined up. Like if they could do a reading, they would have done a reading. Like if their loved one was there, you could have done a reading because they were like all lined up behind me. So it was just very interesting. I want to go back there when it's warm outside because today it wasn't even really the cold. It was the fact that it was the wind, I think, that got us today. But I want to go back there when I'm not hovering. I want to go back there and be able to do recordings when it's not high winds, because on the recordings you were catching the high wind, and I mean, that's just not a good time to do a recording. The K2 meter spiked a couple times in certain places right where we got the EVP reading, where my sister got the EVP reading. I only did one, I haven't listened to it yet. But it was a lot to take, for me to take in, a lot. It was very, very interesting though, but it was it's for somebody like me that's super sensitive to that, it's very heavy, and very, I wanted to be able to like sit on a bench and see who would step out and come to me, but it was just the wind and I was cold. And it was just, I want to go back there when it's warmer. But like I said, at one point it felt like there were a bunch of people like in behind me, and I told my sister, I said, I feel like that they're showing me a bunch of people, in behind me. So it was interesting. I'll be going back there. So anyway, very active out there. If you've never been out there, go out there. It's Hollywood Cemetery in Richmond. For those of you who have not been out there, it's just go early because it is, like I said, gigantic. I mean, it's a huge cemetery. It's not something that you can just, go in and get out. So it's probably it's more like the cemetery is it in Newport News. Well, kinda. It's just that there's grave on top of grave on top of grave on top of grave, and everything in Newport News is kind of spread out and hilly, and this is kind of hilly too. But it's just very interesting. I'd like to go to the one in Newport News too, but this one is very it's the historical part that I like. They have just different. It's just history, big history. So anyway, if you can make it out there, do that. I found it was fascinating, but I'll be going back there when it warms up. So we have a while to wait since certain people like winter time. I'm not that person though. So anyway, it was Hollywood was very interesting, and I'll be putting some captions in my pictures to kind of describe what happened because that's going to be for my book. So anyway, I hope y'all kind of enjoy my little Hollywood Cemetery review. Like I said, for the fourth time, I'm going to go back there. But anyway, I hope that y'all have a great night and stay warm because it is cold. Well, not in the she shed. I got heat. All right. Anyway, night.